Hey Benny, how you bro?
Yep, I'm doing really good. Too much free time nowadays. It's like literally I got nothing to do after Chakwe, and I've like I finish work at 12, go back home. That's it. It seems like I'm living a half retired life.
Half retired life, yeah.
Semi retired. Yeah.
How's your business, man? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this is Benny Tay, the AKA the Chakwe King of Ipoh, the man at
Hi,
the most famous restaurant in Ipoh, New
hi everyone.
Hollywood. Yeah. So yeah, how's your Chakwe business, Benny?
I think it's recovering most of the time. We are now waiting for the cross border restraint to actually lifted, so we can actually get more tourists to come back to Ipoh. But even though I said that, there's already influx of tourists in Ipoh. I don't know how they come in, but they are there. So I think business wise we are quite good right now.
Well, I'm quite sure eventually, once the whole road is all open up, people will start traveling here and there again. I'm quite certain people will embrace tourism again, lah. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. I miss
yeah.
KL.
So
I miss KL. I miss coming down to KL.
I know all of us miss traveling to. I'm from Ipoh, don't forget. Yeah, I haven't gone home for a long, long time.
What
So
you're a lawyer? You can go anywhere. I mean, nah, I'm just saying.
well, we can, but we need to apply for permit first.
Yeah.
And of course, it must be work related.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just simply bantai bantai, go and travel here and there. So
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, thank you for joining us today. Benny, it's almost 4 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Let me introduce the session. This session is now live on Twitch, and I just shared the same on what do you call this on Facebook. I'm trying to share this on Facebook. Let's see whether it works. So anyway, what we do here, ladies and gentlemen, for RWC is a law firm, Richard W. Chambers. I am Richard Wee. We conduct this legal aid, how should I say, webinar, usually on Monday. Our past speakers includes Miss Kemi Yong, who's a very well-known cosplayer, talent in esports. We also got Flower, who's a very well-known MC, host, commentator of esports, and also very knowledgeable in esports. We got Tash Bunny, who came on board, inquired really more about a streamer. Very interesting session with Tash. We also had Alan Pang, who's like you, a major corporate player for esports. I look at Alan and you are dealing with corporate matters for esports. So, and
Maybe. Yeah.
go on, go on.
I mean, I wouldn't consider myself as a corporate level. I think after my encounter with YB Howard, I think what what goes through my mind, what my thought process are. I think it's more likely to policy level on how to do things better for the industry. I guess it's borderline politics already. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I mean, speaking from experience, we had quite a good time that time sorting out the Perak Esports
Mm,
Council.
yep.
I remember collaborating with you, and I must say, Benny, at the time, even though I was supposed to be the lawyer and the so-called the older guy, but I really learned a lot, from your team and you,
Yep.
from Arif. Don't forget Arif.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mm,
from Arif, and
it
then
was quite a
even
good run.
yeah, even from Jim. Even though I
Yep.
know Jim was not really into esports, but he taught me a lot on how to do management on the Perak state
Mm,
government. I really enjoyed serving the Perak state government at the time.
yep. Yep. As do I. Um.
Yeah.
Yep. But intermission. This is how we drink coffee in April.
So here is my coffee here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, why we have this session is to have a discussion on about esports law and on laws related to streamers. So these are the two areas we highlight in this legal aid series. If anybody of you are watching live now, you can always post questions. Those of you who may be watching this on recorded version, because we are going to save this on YouTube, you can always email to Richard Wee at our email justright@richardweechambers.com, or you can WhatsApp us at our office WhatsApp number at 016-275-0025, and we will respond to you. So if you're looking for Benny, you can text us and we'll share with you Benny's address later. Now, Benny, moving on, what are you doing nowadays? I mean, other than your chakwe business, which you're very well known for, what about your esports, your entrepreneurial part of esports? What are you doing?
I think I've slowed down on esports for quite a while right now. I think ever since the MCO. But I do have a blog right now, which takes quite some time for me to do article per article, because I think that there needs to be a lot of research when I publish such write up, in order not to confuse everybody about esports. But really, other than that, I am just becoming amateur artist nowadays. With my photography, and I'm learning guitar right now. Yeah, that's one way for me to do with the spare time that I have right now, because I don't know. I think I don't fit in any ecosystem right now in esports. No, it's true. It's true. It's true, because I'm neither event manager. I'm neither production company. I'm neither a streamer. I'm not even doing Pusatan or whatever it is. So it's a bit weird for me right now, despite of me wanting to work in the esports industry. But I'm waiting my chance. I think I fit well in terms of advising, in terms of policy making. I think that's where I'm headed to.
Yeah, you should. You should. I've seen you working in those areas. You're quite good at it. But I see in the profile when we prepared the RWC, this
Yeah.
nice
Yep.
flyer for our talk, and then I asked you, can you give me your profile and your photo? You asked me to put writer at Midnight Verto.
Yeah.
What is that? Midnight Verto. Mm.
That's my blog. That's my blog to actually write most of the esports thing that I've thought of during and after the Sheraton thing for Perak. So there were a lot of thought process going on, but I didn't pen it down. So it served as a platform for me to write stuff that have been thought of, in terms of economically, in terms of policy making level, or in terms of how do we make this industry a better one compared to what we have last time. So it's, in a crude manner, it's a dumping ground for me to dump all my ideas there, and hopefully somebody will just pick it up and read. So you need an outlet for something, right? So
Yeah, good,
that's the
good.
thing. That's the thing.
Well, okay, without without taking our viewers and audience for granted, I think not many people know who you are. I mean, it doesn't matter whether they know RWC, because we are just a
Mhm.
host. But can we just do a quick one? So, Benny, give us some background of you. You are formerly the Perak Esports Councillor, and you were advising a lot of matters in esports. So maybe give us a 2 minutes background of what you've been doing in esports.
I think before the council thing, I was actually a team manager for Flash Vision, with managing fighting games team, Mobile Legends team, and after a while, for the government change, I knock on their doors and say that, what, I've been in this industry for quite some time. Do you want me to help you? Do you want me to advise you? And that's how I got acquainted with YB Howard, and that's how he became. I mean, that's how that he became the ex-co for sports and youth back then. So that's how we start working on it. And the initial meeting, we kind of proposed a few things, including conference and including an annual tournament or annual event. So from that point onwards, he went to create this council so that the stakeholders are able to communicate with the decision making, the policy makers or the government sectors in Perak back then. So that's how the whole thing goes. And back then I was the connecting point for.
Sorry, heavy
Did I say,
rain. Yeah.
did I say something wrong? Um,
No, no, it's heavy rain.
yeah. Okay, sure. So I was the connecting point between the stakeholders and the government back then. So I was doing a lot of networking and try to see what can we actually do in Perak. So, and there was an idea, how do we play this in Perak, because if you're talking about esports, most of them are concentrated in Klang Valley. If you're talking about you bring it to other states, it's not impossible, but it's hard. But I mean, in my thought process, why should we compete in that sense? I think Perak should be ground zero for all this think tank, all this policy making, all this business connection, or whichever it is, to be focused in Perak. And all the other events, you just go Klang Valley, and whichever it is. So it kind of mirrors what Busan did back in those days. Busan back then, it wasn't that good, but they concentrate all the events there, and then they kind of jack it up into the place that it is now today for esports. So it kind of similar ideas, but we want it to be more business centric to what's going on in esports. So
In
that's
fact,
how the conference started.
in Korea, I think Busan is a very important esports hub.
Yep.
Yeah.
So our aim was that not for tournament, because we made it clear on the first day we met YB. We made it clear on the first meeting, we are not going to focus on making tournaments. We are not going to do that. We are more focused on how to play. The so-called narrative that YB Howard made, but what has lead. It's what you call esports economy. So that was the big goal.
Yeah, I do notice now that I'm going to come back to Epic after I'm going to ask you to talk about Epic.
Sure.
And then from there maybe we can discuss some legal matters from Epic. But I do feel nowadays many state governments are getting involved in esports tournament, and personally I find it a bit strange because esports tournament should be sanctioned by the Esports Federation, the new name, Esports Federation of Malaysia. And also, I think it should be controlled and governed by the association, not by the government. I think the government's job for esports, my view, is to create a structure for example, for legal aid, like what we are doing, a tribunal, like a mini court.
Yep.
For that's what they should be doing. They can also do like the Majlis Sukan Negara version of esports to maintain the players, and they should do the Institute Sukan Negara ISN version of esports where they do sport science and try to improve the players. So that I think was what the government should do. But I notice a lot of state governments now organizing tournaments and whatever. It's a bit strange if you ask me.
I mean, I think that there are a few underlying problems to that. Without any prejudice, I think that's the word that lawyer use most of the time. Without any prejudice, I'm not trying to antagonize anyone, but the thing is, even the association is pushing forward to state government to do more tournaments and all this kind of thing. We just got to find out that they want to build their own facilities. ESI want to build their own facilities, which is very strange to me because there is, private sector has built their own facilities. If we are talking about EBN, TGC, I think Adrian has built a magnificent big facility to actually use it. And not to mention that we have we have a lot of...
Don't forget Pentian,
yeah.
Battlestar Arena.
Yep. So I mean, sorry if I missed out you guys, but in general, idea is that there's already facilities everywhere in Malaysia. We are talking about even smaller cyber cafes or what we call esports center nowadays. So to me, it seems weird that you're building your own, but you're not empowering the one existing right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's strange because you are the governing body, you're the government agency, but you're competing with the private sector. So so who is who right now?
Correct.
That is
correct.
quite even a conundrum. Yeah.
It's a bit strange. I mean, even the Ministry of Youth and Sports, KBS, they have the esports integrated, ESI, right? Yeah. So it's under, and I think they're using the old Rakan Muda office
complex
in Puchong.
in Puchong. Yeah.
In Puchong, they're using that, which is good because to me, at least the complex is not left empty. It's being used.
On the bright side, yeah.
And of course, to me, even if they use the center for the benefit of the people, it's okay. Nothing wrong with that. But I just found it a bit strange when the state government or federal government getting involved and competing with private sector for esports tournaments and
Yep,
events. That's a bit
exactly.
odd lah. That's a bit odd to me, but
Exactly. But I think the biggest problem is that the representation of esports in Malaysia, they are not represented by truly the people from esports as we understand, as we know. Even on the association level, we kind of know that they're not from esports. I think they have to certain level of politician background. So uh that I mean, there's nothing much we can do about it unless we become a member of the federation.
mm,
However, I need to make it clear, I'm not here to attack the federation or whatever it is. It's just I mean, it's simple logic. If you're not from that industry, how could you understand what are we facing right now, or what can you do to actually help us to thrive in this industry? So
mm,
I think that was the biggest problem. So when you have people who don't really understand, then we come up with all these narratives, say, oh, you know what, gaming is esports, so which is completely wrong in the first place. Um, until we really have someone who are from this industry is able to advise at the top management level to say this is what the things you can do, only then we can move forward. If not, then
mm.
we are stuck in this vicious loophole of tournaments and
Yeah,
tournaments.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think from my personal experiences with the current president of Esports Federation, Dato' Anand,
Mm,
I find him very passionate about esports. I think I feel he really wants to do, and he has been doing whatever he can for esports.
mm,
But of course, he can only do so much with what's around him.
yep.
But he is trying. So at least we got the Esports Federation leader doing that. Then but now this, like what you say, like, they need to sort out all these overlapping issues. Who's in charge?
Yep.
Quite
Yep.
funny, isn't it? Huh?
Mm. So why did I say that is because we have been so strongly recommending esports as part of the agenda. We have been talking about, oh, esports is $1 billion industry, but in fact the realistic question is that while the industry worth I think billion over plus right now, I don't know, I didn't check data anymore. So while it's worth a billion plus, how much is Malaysia making from this, from this piece of pie? That's a
Mm,
realistic question. So, and what we need to do is that how are we going to take a piece of that pie to be in Malaysia itself? So,
mm, mm,
I feel that that's the direction that whoever the minister is, the direction needs to be that way for us to actually build a consistent and sustainable esports ecosystem in the future. If not, then if we continue doing what we are doing right now, give or take 2-3 years after, you're gonna hear complaint from the Ministry of Finance. What are we actually doing with this? It
mm.
doesn't give them any ROI, didn't give them anything. Um, if you're giving to badminton, at least badminton is producing the who's the guy who wins London again? I forgot the name.
The
The
he's a new Lee lah. He's still
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Lee.
So so the funding that goes through that kind of association, they are able to produce such ROI. So in esports, it's different because all these talents, all these players are produced privately by organizations. It has been that way since 10 years ago. It has been the way even by now.
Mm,
So I mean that's the general direction that if I were to make policy, that would be the general direction.
mm,
To make it simple, it's similar to what MDEC did back then with MSC, status. I feel that there's a need for MSC for esports as well, in order to get a piece of the pie.
I see.
Mm.
Interesting point. Now let's go back to Epic for a while. So I remembered in 2019, no 2018. Sorry, end of 2018. At the end of 2018, early 2019, I remembered you created together with a group of your colleagues created
Mm.
Epic, which is a esports professional industries
Yep.
conference in Ipoh. Now,
Mm.
tell us about Epic and what was the plan about Epic?
The plan about Epic is that before we did Epic, we kind of found out that there's a lot of government leaders, agency leaders, all of them, they don't really understand esports. They don't really understand what is going on, and I kind of copied this idea early on. I think 5 years back then ago when I was dealing with startup communities, they were doing all sorts of forum to actually educate policymakers that what is big data, what is IoT, what is IR 4.0. And I take that kind of idea to bring it back to Epic. Look, we need to do this. We need to invite all these MP, invite all these Arduino Exco to come over to actually know what we are actually talking about. So we kind of reduce the gap between stakeholders and the policymakers to let them understand what is actually going on. And from all the discussion, there's supposed to be we have a rapporteur for all this discussion. We actually record down everything that our speaker says and whatnot. So from that part onwards, we will try to formulate what needs to be done, what policy needs to be enacted to actually help the industry. So that was the general idea of Epic. So, and of course, third one is we try to make Ipoh relevant as a place for esports as well, not just for tournament, but for all this kind of discussion, think tank and whatnot. That was a general idea of Epic.
Well, I don't know about you, lah, but I felt, of course, as a matter of disclosure, I want to say that I was one of the speakers, so it was nice to be there. I don't want people to say, of course, lah, you benefited from it, but it wasn't about benefit. I really was proud to be part of that conference. And the people that Howard and you and Jim and Arif managed to invite to reach there was tremendous. The biggest guys, all that, even from Thailand.
I mean, when we first proposed doing it, Ipoh, we got skepticism from everyone. Ipoh, do people come Ipoh? And it was a surprise for us that it actually happened, that people all over Malaysia actually do come to Ipoh. So that was unexpected.
Yeah, but it was a good kind of unexpected, lah. Now, we got a good question. I'm going to ask you this letter from Guardian Angel Bot, asking about this. So I'm preparing you first. Later we'll come back to this question. There, he asked us about the cabotage fiasco and tech companies' decision to choose other countries instead of Malaysia. So we'll go through this. We'll discuss about the background for those who don't understand what's happening here, and then maybe you can give your views about it.
Yeah.
Now back to the Epic. So then, what are the plans with Epic now? I mean, is there anything you can disclose to us now that the Perak state government who created Epic has fallen? There's a new government, and it's quite obvious that the new government has no interest to do Epic, or maybe they have interest but they may want to do something else. We don't know. Not fair for us to comment because we don't know about what's happening.
We're not part of it anymore. Yeah.
To be fair to them. But what about you? Because Epic, to me, belongs to people like you and Arif and YB Howard and even Jim. So what are you planning to do with Epic?
I think the last discussion I had was with Howard in his newly opened restaurant. We really had a discussion there that both of us is going to be reviving Epic back in a way, but there's so much uncertainties right now that I can't even say whether can we do it right now, especially with COVID and everything, because I felt if we do Epic online, it's not I don't think it has a purpose if you do it online. We can't have the the attentiveness from everybody. We can't have the policymakers to be there to actually feel what is actually we are talking about. And of course, the next Epic that I planned, which it didn't happen. It was supposed to have this a G8 for government in the world. So we are trying to create a G8 for esports. So we have all these main stakeholders like EGG, EO Esports, TGC, and many more together with the ministry to actually talk about what they need, what do they need to do, to move this forward. So even though we said that, even though I've discussed with Howard, I think we may need to wait until COVID, to be to subside before we can actually do anything a grander plan to it. The intention is there. And of course, now without the government backing, we need to find our own source of funding to actually do it.
I see. So in short, Epic is not dead. Epic is sleeping, and Epic will rise again, lah.
Hibernating for now.
Hibernating. All
Yep.
right, that's a good word.
Yep.
Okay. But legally speaking, I think for Epic, my view is that it should be kept private now. Now that
Mm.
if the state government is not interested, then you were the one organizing it. Then it should be kept private. And of course, if the government wants it back, you can always negotiate with you,
Uh,
and you know.
yeah. Not the last time heard somebody wanted to do it, but I guess you can't build something without the architect, right? So yeah.
Yeah,
So
they can
unless they come and
try.
find me, they can try, but it becomes something like I mean, it becomes something like shock and theory. Have people talk about it, then that's it, which has been done for countless time. So yeah, unless they find the architect to try to do it,
Mm.
I mean, it wouldn't have the same effect anymore. I
The
personally
other,
believe.
in fact, the other esports event, even though actually it wasn't really esports, it's more about gaming,
Yeah,
is MDEX level
level
up.
up. Yep.
Now, of course, we know it's more gaming as compared to
Yeah.
esports. So I thoroughly enjoy attending level up, and
Mm.
I think the purpose of level up is not just about talking; it's
Yep.
actually really about inspiring, and it's
Yep.
about showing the way. And I like the time Hasnol was still
Mm.
leading it. Of course, we unfortunately Hasnol has left MDEC,
Yep.
and I'm sure they got a new leader there. So
Yep.
I'm not, but I'm not sure what the new leader is planning with
Mm.
Level Up. But under Hasnol, that Level Up was fantastic. It
Mm.
was a really good, informative, and provocative,
Yep.
and inspirational. What do you call it? Conference, and I think
Mm.
Epic stands the same standard, lah.
No, please don't say that. We are far from that actually. So, but level up, it's good because game development is such a tough business. It requires, I think, even tenfolds the funding that esports required. So I guess having level up for the developers to actually talk about it, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing to actually have them more exposure, and by fact that game development is more profitable than esports in if by figure that we're talking about,
Mm.
definitely no competition at all.
Now, let's discuss this matter of what Guardian Angel board have asked. Let's talk about the cabotage first.
Yeah.
What do you know about the cabotage that you can share with us, Benny?
I can't say I know a lot, but of course I read news. I watched the entire debate session in the parliament last year. Um, the thing is that by having the cabotage exemption kind of revoked, right, it limits us to a lot of things that we can do in Malaysia. So for example, we just received the news that Facebook, Google is going to plant the cable, I think, away from Malaysia into Singapore, Indonesia. Reason being is that I think they voiced their concern last year. They voiced the concern when they revoked the exemption that they can't service their own cable or by their own standard. Instead, if you go through the association, you go do all the bureaucracy and all this kind of thing, and it gives a lot of uncertainty to tech companies to actually have their cable, the confidence to put that cable in Malaysia. In that sense, what if something happened, and the answers that the minister given it doesn't make a lot of sense, because back then he was suggesting, oh, you can reroute the entire thing to actually have a better ping, but rerouting, it costs even more than having it in the long run. So in that sense, I were to put in esports, that if our internet connection is affected on that day and it requires 4 days to fix, that will actually affect the entire event whether they can do it or not. And having said that, esports event have planned a few months in the pipeline. So they've planned everything. They come to Malaysia. Oh, the internet has an issue right now. So who is gonna fix it? You know, without all this exemption going on, and to a matter of fact that even Malaysia doesn't have a ship to actually repair the kind of cable. We contracted a ship from Indonesia to repair it. So it does have some confidence issue for tech companies to actually come in, because I'm supposed to put my assets here in Malaysia, but I can't service it whenever I need it to. I have to go through you to say yes or no, only I can service it. And in tech business, I think it requires you to be very nimble. It requires you to be very fast in fixing issues. We can't wait for 2 or 3 days. So I think that was the biggest issue. Uh, the same reason we also go for, let's say some game developers trying to host a server in Malaysia, and this issue will still rise up. That they can't fix their own thing. So why not they go to somewhere which is more flexible, so that they can fix any issue if there's anything risen in the past few days. I think that was the thing, because if you take into account of their market, I'm not sure how this works. If you take into account of their market or even share market, even a few days of outage could severely affect them in a sense. So yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big problem for us, but we'll see. What he will do.
Yeah, you see, the
Yeah.
thing about cabotage, cabotage is actually a legal right to travel from one country to another,
Yep.
usually involving aviation and shipping. And the latest one, our current Minister of uh, Transport, uh, Mr. Dato' Wikasyong,
Mm.
he a few months ago, as you said, mentioned that if anybody wants to repair or build the submarine cable, which is the underground and
Yep.
underwater cable,
Mm.
very, very important for the internet. We need that. Then there is certain requirements to use a
Yep.
certain kind of, like you say, ship.
Mm.
So apparently, the Google and whatnot were unhappy with our ruling,
Mm.
and then apparently now it led to them building another
To.
cable, yeah, to Singapore.
Mm.
And the minister a few days ago issued a statement out. I don't know why he was maybe because he was replying to our YB Anthony,
Anthony. Yeah.
yeah, Anthony Lok maybe, but he was attacking
Soya
Pakatan
Chincha as
Harapan,
well.
yeah, about talking about flying cars and all that. But I thought it was not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a minister, so you should take the minister's
You have
uh,
to have certain class.
yeah lah, that class.
That's
But
what I'm
never
saying.
mind, every minister got their own style.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he responded very clearly, and he made it very clear that the whole matter is nothing to do with the cabotage or cabotage. It's actually about the fact that Singapore already have a pre-existing data center, and that's why Google and Facebook went straight to Singapore. That was his explanation.
Mm.
So it will be interesting to see.
Yeah.
But do you think it will affect esports? You mentioned a little bit just now, but I'll ask you now a specific question. Do you think this will have a direct impact on the Malaysian esports scene?
I can't have a definite answer right now. Because because I think that esports in Malaysia is not until to that level that we need to concern about this right now. We are still okay right now. We still haven't have anything happen with the undersea cable right now, so I can't say for sure. But if it does have damage in undersea cable, then we'll see the problem will be coming up one by one. Um, in short, I do not have a definite answer yet until it happens. But definitely there will be a problem with it.
Well, we will see how this develop because to be fair, we already have the infrastructure
Yeah.
to uh, to sustain and maintain an esports community in Malaysia. That's my personal view lah. I'm a
Mm.
lawyer. I'm not a I'm not a technical person, but looking at the way we are running esports and when I see other countries, my view, I think we have the infrastructure and the capacity and capability to maintain
Yeah.
and sustain an esports community. But
Mm.
of course, having extra data cables connecting to our country will make us even more stronger. That will be
Yeah.
my.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
if you have extra advantage, why not? Why? I mean, there's no reason to put us in disadvantage in under this condition, because even in terms of the direction the policy making for esports in Singapore, I think they're doing the right thing. I
yeah,
think they're doing the right thing. Vietnam is doing the right thing. The country, besides Malaysia, they're all doing the right thing to actually attract all these businesses to come in. So, given the advantage that we have right now, if we have one extra advantage and with the right direction that we are pushing in, I think we could actually do it.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
let's see how that issue develop, the cabotage issue. Now,
yeah,
let's move for one moment back to the esports industry. So, looking in your experience, not hearing you speaking for the last 25 minutes or so, the Benny, it is evident that you are very well versed and you're comfortable with the esports industry. Can you give me two or three scenarios where you feel uh, the law, I mean, after all, this is a legal aid clinic,
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
it's where the law can step in and improve situation. Any situation which you feel need the law or the parliament or
I
whatever need to come in?
I think this is what we did last time, right? About the enactment and all this policy making. And seriously, I think I don't know. In your experience, does doing all this enactment, all this policy will take a very long time to actually do it, or even with the full political will, will they actually be enacted that fast to actually accommodate to the industry change? I mean, in your experience.
Well, it will be slow. Whenever you want to do parliamentary changes, no, sorry, if you want to do changes through parliament,
Mm,
it will take time.
yep.
Um, Ladies and gentlemen, the background that we are talking about is that way back in 2018,
Mm,
Benny and I were part of a team drafting and state enactment for Perak to legalize certain esports activities.
mm,
For example, issues of licensing, issues of management of disputes. And I think Perak was going to be the first ever state in the world to do an esports tribunal controlled by the state.
yep.
That time, back in 2018, I think by now other countries have started already. So
Yep.
yeah, so I remember that time we were probably going to be the first in the world at the time.
So yeah, if you're talking about the big picture, I think it would take quite some time. I think 3 to 5 years without disruption, 3 to 5 years. But if you're talking about the smaller things, right? I think the most immediate thing that I feel needed to be done is to have all these talents unionized. They need to have a union, because there's so many stories about our talents are getting underpaid. They're getting not paid. All this kind of thing. There's not a platform for them to actually get things done whenever they are not getting back what they're put through. So I think, to put in context, it will be similar to what the writers union have in the Hollywood. So if we have that kind of body to actually represent the voice, they have their own legal team to actually address all this kind of issue. I think we have a much more matured industry in that sense. Right now, it's free for all. I can don't pay you. You can talk bad about me in social media, and I still don't pay you, right? There needs to be a union for these talents. That's the most immediate thing you can do. But of course, I understand, to take the leadership role of such union. Um, a lot of people are reluctant to actually do it, because it's, first of all, it's a free work. Um, and it takes tremendous amount of effort to actually put it off. So I get it why not a lot of people will step up into this kind of work. But there is a need for union for talents. Definitely, definitely.
Yeah. I think there is one now, of course, the Malaysian Esports Players Association,
Mm.
MESPA. Ironically, MESPA has just announced that they'll be holding their AGM sometime in May, I
Oh,
think.
I registered.
Yeah, yeah, because I recall that the constitution of MESPA require a 6 weeks notice to be given.
Mm.
It's a long time. I don't know why it's so long, by 6 weeks. And so I understand that the remaining pro team, because many of the pro team has since left or have
Yeah.
moved on. Some have gone overseas. So the remaining pro team is operating in and recalling and starting MESPA all over again. And
Mm.
but I totally agree with you about starting associations to protect talents like
Mm.
cosplayers or commentators.
Yep.
I feel we need that, and also I feel Benny, it is time for us to start a esports business council or esports business um, chambers.
Yep.
I think we've discussed about this before, even with people, the key players like Mr. Adrian Gaffo.
Mm.
We mentioned to him also.
Yep.
I think we should have a esports business chambers, like like the
Mm.
Malay chambers of commerce, the Chinese
Yeah.
chambers of commerce. I think we should have that, where
Um.
we should have a chambers just to deal with the business of esports. It's so big, right?
Yep.
What do you think?
Yep. No, it's definitely a good thing to go. It's not it's a must. It's no longer a need, it's a must to have this kind of body for ourselves. Or if not, then who's gonna speak for us? At any time of the day. In fact, we did register one, but somehow, whenever the word esports is in the name of the association, they normally throw us back to Presiden Jayasukan, the sports commissioner, which is last thing we want to, because we are entirely different from the sports body. We are not organizing tournament. We are not taking care of players. We are taking care of the business leaders. So we did hit a few obstacles in that sense. So we're trying to figure it out how are we gonna go around it. So once it's set up, then I think it's time that everybody in the industry should actually come in to actually lead this thing.
Yep. I feel whether we like it or not,
Mm.
even though associations can create unnecessary political issues
Yep.
within that association, we know that happens in Malaysia,
Yep.
anywhere in the world. People just love to politicize within that association. But putting that aside, I think the bigger aim to bring all the players under one roof and defend each other is much better value than not having it to
Yes.
avoid
Yes.
political
Yes.
problem. Yeah, so
I
I
mean,
think we should have it.
my intention for this entire thing, right? I feel that once I set this up, then I think it's entirely up to the industry players to actually decide who should lead this. I personally feel there needs to be action to get it set up, and then let the democracy run its course to actually decide who should lead this. I
Uh,
think that's the proper way to actually do it. It's a bit assumptions, it's a bit bigoted if I think that I should be the one leading it, which I don't think I'm in any position to actually lead it. It should belong to the people who actually built esports from the start. I
mm,
think ethically, I think that's what I should be pushing forward to.
mm. I think that would be a better thing to
Yeah,
explore that. Yeah.
yeah.
So
I
okay.
think I should venture to politics to actually fight this rather than which I think eventually I will go into it. In
Yeah.
a matter of
Yeah.
time. Mm.
Mm. Well, and thank you for registering for the MESPA AGM. I didn't know you qualify within the definition of MESPA, because MESPA is,
Um.
they're very strict about who can join MESPA.
Well, I am a player. I represented Perak once for Tekken. No, I used to be competitive player for Tekken. If that's the requirement that fits, then yes, I am.
Because again, ladies and gentlemen, as a matter of disclosure, I have to disclose. I am the lawyer who helped to create MESPA, and that's why I know the constitution. Say 6 months, 6 weeks. Sorry, I can't remember why it's so long, but I suspect it is the given by the sample, by the
Yeah.
precedent given. Yeah. Um, but for those who want to join MESPA, the Malaysian Esports Players Association, I think it's very good if you are a player. You need to play a certain amount of tournaments. I can't remember now. I think it's about 2 or 3 tournaments you have to play.
Mm.
and then they only can join. So people like me can never join MESPA. So it's truly an association by players, for players, of players. Created by players, for players, and the leaders are led by off players. So it's a really good association, and I
Mm.
hope it'll be there to protect the players.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely.
Now, moving from the esports talent, which you said should register and all that, any other legal matters? Ago, we've discussed about the structure from the government. You're talking about the old proposed law to do licensing for esports and whatever, and also we discussed about maybe to form societies
Mm.
for certain talents and whatever. Anything else you feel that the law should step into esports, Benny?
Well, I think there's so much area you can step into. I as a legal profession, um, just to play the thoughts that I have, even to the extent that if if we are able to let esports organization to get listed in Bursa Malaysia, I think that will also require some legal framework. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not too sure about it. Um, in certain aspect, there should be also a similar thing like MAVCAP, agency for venture capital, to actually be based in Malaysia to invest in all these esports organization. Of course, when we're talking about that, the contract it's a no brainer. You have to be there. But if you want to deep dive into more legal field, right? I think player visas is more important right now. Considering that we have several international players based in Malaysia, but
Interesting.
I I think we do not have players visas right now. Uh, or a specific employment pass for international players to be based in Malaysia. So, uh, I mean, if you want this to be a part of a pie, then we make it friendly to for organizations to actually get hired, players, and with a specific requirement and specific conditions. So it's still back to policy making. It's still back to drafting the entire thing. How are we gonna do it?
Yeah,
But
I do
I
like
mean,
that point.
sorry. And in addition to that, I think players, streamers alike needs help with income tax a lot right now. I'm not even kidding right now.
Yeah, we
They
discussed
need
this before.
help
Yeah.
right now. So
Uh,
as I mentioned, as I've noticed that there are a lot of them getting into troubles right now. I think they are getting sued for bankruptcy or whatever it is. Rich, you should get into it right now. Good business time. Uh, no, I'm not sure. How can I do all this kind of thing. It's something that we foresee for quite some time. But kids sometimes they think income tax is sub soya. They don't really care about it until it hits them.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
mm,
I agree. I think you're right. I have noticed that issues about income tax. Good points you raise. These are all good. I hope any lawyer who listen to this, they will learn from this conversation and try to offer your services to those area of
mm,
esports. Esports it's not just all about games. It's also about other aspects. I like the esports players visa. That's a good idea.
yeah. I mean, if we were to become the esports hub for, let's say, Southeast Asia, uh, that there should be a lot of policy that we should be making. We should be are we going to have some levy exemption for international players? Are we going to have some levy exemption for international talents to actually come work in Malaysia itself? Or even to the extent that are we going to have specific classification in SSM that we are establishing an esports company, so we get a better track of data of what's happening in Malaysia, so that we can make better decision. As of now, I think every decision made in the ministry for esports is based on assumption or based on the advisors' advice, which is not really accurate. We do not know what's happening right now. We do not know how many team has established and how many team has died. Cause of what? Is it because of talent retainment? Is it because of lack of funding? Is it all this kind of thing? Um, that's the area of data creating, or if you want to call it big data. So we need to have all this kind of information to actually know what we needed to do. As of now, I think it's very hard for us to say, where can we step in, what can we do, or even in legal field, what can you actually do with it without understanding what's actually the issue there. So, but of course, the apparent, the income tax is the most apparent right now that we can straight look in the face. Oh, that's the problem right now, but we need to be able to understand what will happen in the future 6 months down the road, so we can actually do something to prevent that happen. But that, I mean, that should be done, but it's not right now, so
Yeah,
it's a bit hard.
yeah. Well, but definitely, I think there are much room for legal intervention.
Mm,
I think you know me personally, Benny. For
yep.
many years, I've been trying to promote a better engagement with the law. I
Mm.
think esports sometimes feels like very cowboy. There's not enough.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, it is. I mean, I had conversation with Hasno and Mohan before. I think this is the exact word. It feels like a cowboy town right now. So
yeah, yeah. It feels
it's
cowboy.
hard. It's hard. But I think legal comes at every stage of the esports. I mean, to simplify things for people who don't understand esports, just consider this as the entertainment field. Just consider this as the talent agency for entertainment in TV or movies or Hollywood.
Mm.
I don't think there's any difference. I think it's the same thing. So just to give a really simple layman term, it's no different from showbiz. It's no
Mm.
different. I think
Mm.
it's a lot different from conventional sports, but it's no difference from showbiz.
Well, I suppose if this industry is going to really develop into a sustainable industry, then excuse me, whether we like it or not, the industry must embrace not just law but all the other relevant professional sectors.
Mm,
Financial advisors, like what you say, for tax purposes, we need financial advisors and tax consultant. We also need lifestyle consultants where we need to maintain how to manage people's lifestyle. People who play esports have a certain kind of lifestyle.
yeah.
We also need people who can manage the immigration, regulation, which doesn't need to be lawyers, by the way. So these are issues which we need to address
Oh, to
to move
add on
forward.
one more, I think lawyers will love this. PR agencies to avoid defamation suit.
Yeah, I don't know why, Benny. I always get a question.
Mm. So go
Yeah,
on, go on, go on, go on.
no, I was about to say that I always get a question from many esports characters, leaders. Whenever I interview them on my legal aid or when they meet me, they ask me, "Hey, Richard, can you say this and this? Isn't it defamation?" So I don't know why. Is that very often on the esports?
I yeah, it is very often. I think we see a few cases. People making remarks on social media. Saying this is so and so and so and so forth. So I personally feel that professional players, whether amateur or professional, you need to brush up on your PR, or you hire a PR agency to do all your communications, because you know first of all, they're young, and when you're young, you do most of the things by emotions. So when you get pissed off, you write something on Instagram, you try to defame this without understanding what is defamation, and you go and do that kind of stuff, and here comes a lawsuit. So they need to be really, really careful on that part itself. Although drama sells, but you wouldn't want to go into the court. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Uh, my usual advice to people is that never write on the social media when they are angry.
Yeah.
Never do things when they are. Even myself, I apply myself to this situation where I'm just a human being, and then sometimes I do get very disappointed with certain people, certain person, and I try to consider all scenarios, consider why that person did what he or
Mm,
she did, and then I after coming to a conclusion, then only I make a certain reaction. I feel So I apply that. I mean, I'll be a hypocrite if I tell people to calm down, and I myself, yeah. So
Yeah.
my personal advice to everybody who's listening is that if you are angry or upset with somebody, I know it can be very frustrating. People don't pay you. People say nasty things about you. And now with social media, the first thing you do is you go to Insta story or TikTok, and you vent there, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you go on Twitter, you start venting there on Twitter. So that is not advisable. It is
Mm,
really not advisable. And
yeah.
worse, when you put it on internet is forever. Even if you delete it, the moment someone screenshot about it,
That's
then
it.
that's it. Yeah, we have it forever and ever. And it is very important to really stay calm before you respond. And
Yeah.
I think it's the other way around. If someone say nasty things about you, and if they don't pay you, for example, put into writing, send an email to that fellow or WhatsApp to that fellow and say, when are you going to pay?
Mm,
When are you going to pay? That is how you
yeah.
let go of your anger. Or if someone say bad things about you, instead of putting on social media, confront the fella.
Yeah.
Confront the fella.
I think
Yeah,
the last thing you want to do is get a lawyer to actually start doing, a proper channel to actually claim back the money. Um, I think that should be the way lah. I think that should be the way lah. Instead of doing in social media, it looks bad for you. It looks bad for other people as well.
exactly. It looks bad on you. And you're right, Benny. I like what you say because legally you're spot on. If someone defame another person, then the victim of the defame, for all you know, the victim actually is the guy who started it all, or the girl who started it all. But you going to react and say a nasty thing about this fella, you cannot. A bit
Yep.
stupid, lah, if you ask me. So then that fella who now is a victim, he or she is a victim because you defame this person, right? They can ask money from you.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't ask 1 to 5 million, 10 million lah, but they
But
definitely can ask some money from you. Yeah.
there's a substantial cost to go through all this due process. So yeah, that I think that's the most important thing right now. If immediate
Mm.
effect that you can do is control how you start writing or how you start venting about all this kind of thing. Yeah.
You know what? I think I'm going to start I'm going to write an article about this. I don't know why you are like the tenth or how many people they ask me, on defamation on
I mean,
streaming platform.
I myself, I aspire to be a comedian. Uh, I wanted to, but I'm not sure if I can. But the thing about trying to become a comedian, you try to push the limit of what you can say. That's why you see me writing a lot of sometimes racist joke. Sometimes I'm pushing the line to see where people are okay with it, but sometimes so where's the limit by experimenting and whatever it is. So once you cross that line, oh okay, this is not fine. So you're not gonna do that anymore. But um, I do have a lot of fans, so maybe that's safe for me. So for esports player with the tremendous amount of fans, that could be a problem itself. So know your limit. You can run, you can vent, but know what's the line that you do not cross.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
mean, by experience, you don't name the fella lah. You just put bukan nama sebenar. Does that actually work, Rick? I don't know.
yeah.
If you don't put the real name there, does it work that way?
Well, if you don't put the real name there, which is what most people do,
Mm-hmm.
it becomes more difficult to track you down. But
Uh-huh.
it doesn't mean it's not impossible to track you down. It
Mm-mm-mm.
is possible. It is
Yeah.
possible. I
Yeah.
remembered many, many years ago. This wasn't a defamation. I share on a personal experience. Personal experience. So there was a football fan on internet, on Twitter, which made a very nasty racist comment against me. And of course, the name of the Twitter was somebody else.
Yeah.
But they managed to track down the email, of that person,
Holy crap.
and then found out who the person is, and then send a notice to the person. Twitter send to that person. Yeah, so it is actually possible, but a bit more mafan, but it can be done. It can be done.
Yeah.
So to me, in fact, it's the other way around. If you use fake name and try to attack people, and later on, let's say if you get caught, the judge will look at you one kind, really look at you one kind. Yeah, what
So
kind of
so
person?
so you can get prejudged before anything happens.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. The judge look at you,
Yeah,
what? And yeah, because you choose to use a pseudonym, and then nama samaran in bahasa Malaysia.
yeah,
So yeah, it is a very unhealthy exercise lah. And I always tell people, what is the benefit? What do you benefit from this?
yeah. I mean,
So
people can get pretty mean behind the screen because they don't know who you are. I think that's a norm, not just in Malaysia. I think it happens everywhere. Uh, Korea
yeah,
is the worst. I think.
yeah, I read about suicide and all that. See, like last year, we had RWC had held a webinar on harassment on esports and streaming, together with Oling,
Mhm.
Michelle now of Google,
Yep.
and my friend Che Firdaus. So
Mm.
Firdaus is a very well-known human rights lawyer. So from that talk, we RWC launched a campaign of anti-sexual harassment, and we created a hashtag called "Love More." Actually, not we didn't create lah, but we adopted the hashtag "Love
Mm.
More." So because we noticed that all these nasty comments has a massive mental impact on a person, and
Yep.
it diminishes the confidence, and people get very suicidal, being attacked all the time. It's very unhealthy.
Yep. Yep. Um. Uh. I think unavoidable, but we try to be the best version of ourselves online as much as possible. But go back. I mean, go back to the legal questions about esports. I noticed there are certain rumors going on around that betting companies sponsoring team, especially in Malaysia with that kind of we have strict regulations about betting. Do you think it will be a problem for Malaysian if the betting companies are sponsoring?
Well, number one, in Malaysia, betting is of course not allowed,
Mm.
except those with license. So those like the current companies, I don't want to mention the company's name to avoid people saying that we're advertising their name. But we know company, the one who
Yeah.
sell numbers and whatever, right?
Yep.
And there's also we have one legalized casino in our country.
Mm.
So other than that, betting is not allowed.
Yep.
Okay, and flowing from that, just like cigarette, betting is not allowed. Betting companies are not allowed to advertise in Malaysian sports. But the
Mm.
only problem, because some of this advertising come from overseas, so
Yep.
they put advertisement here, and then you wear it in Malaysia. So the
Yep.
Malaysian government can't do anything about that, because
Ah.
there is a foreign company sponsoring a foreign club. But let's say
Okay.
a Malaysian club, a Malaysian esports team, let's
Mm-hmm.
say they call it Ipoh Benny, this
Mm.
new team called Ipoh Benny. So Ipoh Benny now wants to get betting company, so Bet 456,
Yep.
Syarikat Bet 456 from
Mm.
some country to come and sponsor your
Sponsor.
team. Cannot,
Yep.
cannot. Uh,
Ah.
so
Okay.
if you can try, but I don't think the government will allow. Yeah.
No, because I heard that in some Facebook group that that there's a betting company sponsoring certain teams. It's all Malaysian team, so and people were saying that oil is going to be issue, but uh, which jurisdiction does that fall into, or which relevant department is going to come after you if that happens?
Well, obviously the first one will be the police,
Mm.
because gambling is not allowed. But now, like I said, I repeat, Benny, if the advertising come from overseas,
Mm-hmm.
from an overseas company, and even though the team is a Malaysian team, but the sponsorship is for a tournament held overseas,
Yep.
that means nothing to do with Malaysia. The only thing Malaysia is that the team came from Malaysia, right?
Mm.
That may be a loophole.
Mm.
Yeah. So let's say again, your team, we create a team, Ipoh or Chakoi lah.
Yep.
Ipoh or
Yep.
Chakoi, Chakoi Esports. So Chakoi Esports go into Dota 2, and you are playing in China, and then you are sponsored by Sharikat bet 456,
Yep.
syarikat bet 456 on your jersey. That could be possible because you're playing overseas
Mm.
in a different country, different crowd. It's possible. Yeah. But the first people who will enforce will be the police. I
Mm-hmm.
suppose there will be issue of tax because when
Mm-hmm.
you earn money,
Yep.
tax may come in. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I also foresee could be the Ministry of could be Ministry of Trade. You know, I
Mm.
stand corrected lah. I'm not that familiar with
Mm.
that area of law, but I know the police will be the first person to come in lah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe
Uh.
even customs, maybe even
Mm,
customs.
mm,
You never
mm, mm.
know.
Yeah. So I assume that's a very gray area right now. You're
It's a
saying,
very good question, by the way. Very good
yeah.
question.
I mean, there's so many teams that are getting sponsored by them right now. So we weren't sure what's happening here, what's happening there. So, but then it will be legal for the company that held the gambling license to actually sponsor, isn't it?
Yep. I mean, let's say we have a company who's a betting company,
Mm-hmm.
based in Manila or based in
Yep.
Singapore, wherever,
Wait,
right?
wait. But if it's based in Malaysia with a license, will it still work the
Uh,
same way?
you mean our current betting companies in Malaysia?
Mm,
Uh,
legal one.
our current betting companies in Malaysia are not allowed to advertise on sports.
Ah,
Or
right.
else, bro, if they can advertise, I think the M League now will be sponsored by some
Yeah,
major.
I
Yeah,
think they made some amendment there because I still heard some number company advertising right now or sponsoring some show because I saw that actually.
I see. Maybe that
Uh but I think
sponsoring show, maybe possible, but
I think maybe not in sports context. I think for shows maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like you see in England, sports betting companies are allowed to
Mm,
sponsor football teams and
yep.
rugby teams. They are allowed to be a sponsor in the sports.
Mm,
But they cannot control the team. Obvious
yep.
reason lah. For obvious reason, right? They
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
control
True,
the team.
true.
So all they
Formally.
manipulate. They manipulate the results. So
Yeah.
then, so that part is allowed. But that's what you see in the Premier League, English Premier League. Many clubs they wear the betting companies.
Mm, yep.
But
Correct.
Malaysia, from what I know, and of course I stand corrected if I'm wrong, then I apologize to the listeners. But from my understanding, cigarette companies
Mm,
and betting companies not allowed to advertise on
uh,
sports teams. That's
yep.
what I understand. Yeah.
And by the way, we are not trying to explore loophole here. Just to make it clear, just general curious question. Yeah, but I
Good
but,
question. Good
but I
question.
thought cigarettes were allowed to advertise back. I think 20 years ago. I think for
Uh,
quite some time ago. You
30 years
mentioned
ago.
hedges.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would just assume they made some amendments to a sports law to actually
Correct.
prohibit
Correct.
them to
Correct.
yeah
About 30 years ago,
yeah.
they
I
stopped it.
understand correctly because my late mentor who used to mention with the cigarettes company managed to sponsor teams back then.
Mm, mm.
That's how I found out. Yeah.
Those is even Perak, both you and I from Perak. Of course, the whole league was sponsored by Dunhill,
Yep.
but even the stadium, everywhere Dunhill. So
Yeah.
uh,
I
I'm
think
not
they
here to
changed. Mm,
yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not promoting that cigarette company, but I'm mentioning as a matter of fact that
yep.
was what was. Yeah. So
Yep.
okay, it's already more than an hour. So
Mm.
fast, huh? Talk.
Wow.
1 hour
I
already. Yeah.
still have so many things, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, go on, go on. Just want to
Uh,
tell everybody it's 1 hour. Yeah. So what are the next thing you want to talk about, Benny?
I no, I think the next time I'll talk about I need more research to actually start doing it. I think I may need to go and research how esports event impact economically in Malaysia, even by area itself. So I mean there are questions that I may need to find out. Like let's say for example KL Major, we held KL Major in Malaysia. I think 2 years ago. Um,
2018. Yeah.
not 2018. So what are the impact? What are the ROI that actually impacted from such events in terms of tourism revenue? What are the things that we need to have? Um, I mean, if you could figure it out, I think it'd be much more easier to convince. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it still backs to the data creating part that if I have the resources to do it, then I wouldn't hesitate to do it in that
Yeah,
sense.
but from what I understand, Benny, for esports, um, on a slightly different issue, is
Mm.
the one of the few industry not affected by the COVID-19. Yeah, it wasn't affected.
No, it wasn't
Bad.
affected at all.
Mm.
The only thing affected is the physical so-called cyber cafe or even esports center. I think that's the only thing that's hit very hard ever since MCO started. At a certain point, I think uh for I I felt sad for Adrian at some point when MCO hits when he's just started. I was like, hey, why so such a bad thing happening? Then you just open, it's sad to see that but then I think he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. He's a smart guy lah. That's all I can say. He's a
Yeah,
smart
I
guy lah.
think most of the esports companies with their own
Yeah,
stadiums, their own
yeah,
sets, their own they will suffer lah. They
yeah.
suffered. That group
I think
suffered.
I think the smaller one. I think Ipoh closed down a lot of cyber cafes. They closed down a lot, so there's a lot of graphic card for sales, cheap. So if you're into crypto, I don't know. I think it's
Good
time.
time to buy that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, back to your point, I think it's a good thing for you to do a survey and do an economic review on that, and you can
Mm.
maybe share with us on your blog.
Uh, I try to with limited resource that I have. I try to lah. Whether can we actually publish that out? Moving alone is sometimes it takes much more effort lah than having a team. But
I know. I know.
but I understand this kind of work doesn't interest a lot of people.
Mm.
It's not all glamour and stuff, but I think it's more to academician kind of work.
Mm, mm.
Mm.
Well, I wish you luck on that point, and then you can always call on us to help you. Hmm?
No problem, no problem.
Yeah,
I'll call you up whenever I want.
yeah. So okay, so today we have covered quite a lot of areas. Even though such a short time, we've discussed about your history with Epic, the
Yeah,
history with Para, your experiences with the esports growth, how you get to know YB Howard from Para Pasir Pinji. I think he's from
yeah,
Pasir
yeah,
Pinji. Yeah.
yeah,
Then you shared with us a little bit about your Chakoi business. So well done there. And then we had a good chat about the esports industry itself, the laws
mm,
governing it, the rules governing it, the issue of state government coming in to organize
complete.
events,
Yeah,
yeah, compete with esports federation. We should let ESF do the work, but never mind. We also discussed just now a little bit about defamation. I like the part about players' visa. That's a very good point. Yeah, and of course now the gray area on whether or not betting companies
yep.
can come in and sponsor
Mm,
esports team. All good talks. All good talks. Anything
mm.
you want to say to wrap things up, Benny? We can always do a part two. By the way, this is not the only time. We maybe next time we can have this
I
discussion again.
I think part two may need to be a bit or two. I did recover back some energy. To talk.
Maybe part two we can do
And
after Raya, end of the year,
yeah,
or
yeah.
something like
And by
that.
the way, this seems like a therapeutic session for me, as I mentioned to you. Have not to talk to anybody about esports. I think for as long as I remember. But if I want to wrap this thing up,
Hmm.
I'm borrowing your platform, if by any chance the minister is able to watch this, the policymakers is able to watch this, please do take serious consideration with what we mentioned today. I think it factors it a lot. And of course, at the end of the day, government, I think you should make business friendlier for everybody to actually come and do business rather than competing. I think that need to be rectified. But
Hmm.
but if you need to contact me, if by a chance that you're watching this, who knows, give me a call. I may offer a free consultation. Yeah,
Okay, there
need
you
to
go.
advertise.
Yeah, to advertise. Yeah. Good luck to you and Benny on that. We have been experimenting RWC Twitch TV for many months,
Mm,
and actually, we many people don't know since RWC was created, as you know, we launched the law firm in 2019 in July.
Mm.
We already had Twitch at the time.
Yep.
And I think we are the first law firm to have our own Twitch TV. But
Yeah.
I feel that there is a little bit more traction on
Mm.
Facebook for issues like what you are talking. So
Mm.
maybe in future I may want to move our talk to Facebook to get a
Yeah.
wider listeners for
Mm.
what you want to say. So
Yeah.
yeah, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are listening in, and if you need help, engage Benny Tay. And then definitely this video I will be sharing with the people in charge at the government, Benny.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So can
Yeah.
I invite everybody here who's watching to give a round of applause to Benny? Thank you for sharing your time with me, raising some interesting legal points. We'll bring this to an end. So don't go away, Benny. We can still stay in the studio
Yeah.
to chit.
Yeah. Sure.
And any last goodbye, Benny?
Um. Goodbye. Come Ipoh, eat char kway. Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely can become comedian, lah, brother. You have it. Lah.
I try to lah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Thank you very much, Benny. Thank you very much for listening in. We will be recording this and uploading it on YouTube. Follow us on RWC YouTube channel. We are active on Facebook and on LinkedIn, which is usually more for the older and professional crowd. But go there if you want to get more information about us. And there's our good old website, www.richardvchambers.com. You can go there and get all the information you want. We've got plenty of articles there on esports law for you to read if you want. And back to our YouTube, we got lots of videos. We've been recording many webinars. I think Benny took part in a few of our previous webinars. So there you go. Go there, watch a webinar. You learn a lot of things from the webinars from speakers like Benny. So thank you for your time. To all of you, take care of yourself, wash your hands, and stay safe.